What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we're going to be doing a deep dive into the new subsonic ammo that was added to Battlefield 6. And I am so happy they added this. It's something I've been asking for quite some time, and it does allow for quite a bit more stealth play in the game. So without further ado, let's dive right into this, starting it off with just the basic description for this. It mentions it's a low velocity ammunition that partially hides in-world spotting and slightly reduces the range where a soldier is spotted on the minimap when firing, and then it will also marginally lower recoil. And the standard form of subsonic will cost 15 attachment points. However, we also have hollow point subsonics, so with that you get all of the same benefits of the standard subsonics, combined with the benefits of hollow point ammunition, so the boosted headshot multiplier, but that one's going to cost quite a bit. That's 30 attachment points to use. And then finally, I noticed on the MP7, there's one additional form of subsonic ammunition here, and this is subsonic tungsten, which gives you most of the benefits of subsonic ammo, aside from the recoil boost. And then on top of that, it does give you increased penetration as well. And interestingly, this one only costs 10 attachment points rather than the standard 15. As far as which guns you're capable of using subsonic ammo on, in the carbine category, you can put these on the M417A2, the SG553R, and the SOAR 300SC. For SMGs, all of the SMGs have access to subsonic, at least in some form, whether that's the standard subsonic, hollow point, or in the case of the MP7, that tungsten subsonic. And then for the pistol category, on the P18, the AS57, and the GGH22, you can use subsonic on those, but not the others. So you are a little bit limited in what you're able to use these on. And when it comes to the first big downside of using subsonics, this is the velocity reduction. And this does vary from gun to gun, but in general, you'll see a roughly 30 to 50% reduction to your muzzle velocity. And that is a very big difference, and it's absolutely going to hold back your ability to hit targets at longer ranges, especially if those targets are moving. You're going to have to lead your target quite a bit more. There's a lot of travel time. You can even see that just in the firing range here, how long it takes before a hit marker registers on the longest range dummy. It's almost like you're shooting paintballs at them. So that is a huge consideration when using this. It's not the type of thing you just throw on without thinking about it, because the moment you start using this ammo, it does hold back your long-range capabilities a lot. Now, as for its impact on spotting, when firing with a gun using subsonic ammo, assuming you're not using a flash hider or suppressor, you will still be 3D spotting yourself, meaning enemies will see a diamond appear above your head, but it does cut the range of that in half. So without subsonic, and without a flash hider, and without a suppressor, that diamond will appear for any enemy within 54 meters of you, as long as you're within their field of view, of course. Whereas when you put subsonic on, it will cut it down to 27 meters. And that's great, but in saying that, of course, if you just use a flash hider or a suppressor, it will completely eliminate that 3D spotting, regardless of whether or not you're using subsonic. So I'd still recommend going that route. And to this day, every single one of my setups always has a flash hider or a suppressor on it. So more importantly for me, I'm much more concerned about the 2D spotting range. This is your minimap spotting range. So when you fire, when will you be showing as a diamond on the enemy's minimap? By default, so if you're not using a suppressor, that minimap spotting range is going to be 150 meters, which is quite a long distance. Whereas the moment you put subsonic on, assuming you're not using a suppressor as well, so if you're using subsonic and a flash hider or subsonic and any other muzzle that's not a suppressor, that will cut that range all the way down to 64 meters, which is still a pretty big distance, but obviously that's still a massive reduction from 150 meters. And then the most interesting thing is the combination with suppressors, because if you use a suppressor in this game without subsonic, you're cutting that minimap spotting range all the way down to 21 meters, which is an excellent reduction. However, if you combine a suppressor with subsonic, it will now cut that minimap spotting range down to just 9 meters. So they have to be very, very close to you in order to show up on the minimap. And I've noticed this working in my favor so much already while using that combination of subsonic and a suppressor. It's actually crazy how much more powerful my flanking playstyle has become. I can get right up behind enemies without having a bunch of people in the area suddenly attracted to me the moment I fire my gun. And this makes a really big difference. Now, I'll admit, I was kind of hoping that that combination of suppressor and subsonic would just eliminate the minimap ping entirely, but I can live with a 9 meter range on that. That is a short enough range where it's not the minimap that's going to be giving you away as much as your footstep and gunfire audio. And speaking of gunfire audio, I was just curious to see if subsonic would have an impact here. And as far as I can tell with my testing, Subsonic appears to have little to no impact on the audio cues that you're making for enemy players. Like, there is a chance that it very slightly changes the pitch and maybe the volume very slightly, but in these tests that I performed, I'm not really seeing enough of a difference here that it would actually change whether or not I'm hearing somebody shoot their gun in-game. And I'll just let you guys hear that for yourself here really quick. Starting it off with unsuppressed, the first clip will be without subsonic, the second clip is with subsonic, and I'll play it at a couple different ranges. So again, there might be a slight pitch change there, but I'm going to hear both of those guys just as easily in-game. Next, I'm going to show the same clips, but this time using a suppressor in both cases. The first clip will be supersonic, and then we'll be fading into subsonic. Once again, similar story there. They're both very, very quiet, and there might be a bit of a pitch change, but volume-wise, I don't think it's really going to make any difference as to whether or not I hear that enemy player. Now finally, the last thing I wanted to show here is the recoil improvement that you gain when using subsonic ammo. And keep in mind, this is only helping with recoil, not your aim down sight spread or dispersion. And with this, I just spot checked on a handful of guns that have different types of recoil, and I'm just using the base version of the gun and comparing that to the base version plus subsonic ammo. And you can see across the board, yeah, subsonic is helping a little bit with your recoil. It's nothing too crazy here, but there's definitely a very slight reduction to the amount that your recoil is going to be climbing. And in the case of the KV-9, for instance, it appears there's a little less horizontal recoil there as well, even though there's still tons of spread with it. And this is pretty much what I expected to see based on the description, where it just said that it marginally improves your recoil. It's not like it's going to make your gun an absolute laser beam, but it helps at least a tiny bit. And there we have it. That's pretty much it for the subsonic ammo in Battlefield 6. Overall, like I said, I'm so happy they added this, and I have been noticing that when combining this with a suppressor, I can flank quite a bit more effectively, and it just seems like my enemies are so much more oblivious to my presence, which is great because I love flanking in this game. That's my preferred playstyle, is flanking with an SMG, and I'm happy to sacrifice that velocity and my abilities at longer ranges if that means I can flank that much more effectively and get those close range kills. Now, of course, those are just my thoughts, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about the new subsonic ammo in those comments down below. Is this something that you see yourself using much going forward, or perhaps not? Does it maybe not suit your playstyle, or do you think the downsides just outweigh the upsides? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.